Standing up in San Antonio, this is According to Callus. This is episode 640, the Wednesday update, if you will. Probably have this knocked out in about 15 minutes, so please bear with me. And again, remember, the best way you can help me, help you, make a difference, be heard, get the word out, hear perhaps something that you haven't heard before, or at least a different take on things, is to subscribe, follow, like, share. That's right, I did them in a different order. And go to your favorite podcatcher of your choice, subscribe there, follow on the social media of your choice. Again, as always, I have a page and a group on Facebook. I'm a pro at Gab, and I drop in at MeWe. All right, so today we're getting ready to, I guess technically yes. So I opted to do this first thing in the morning. We're heading into day 3 of the convention. So last night I did the State Affairs Subcommittee. Plank number 225, which you may recall has to do with, Texas ought to be able to vote on whether or not they want to look at being an independent sovereign nation again. That is staying in for consideration by the body. There were also some improvements, if I may say so myself, that were coming out of the committee related to pro-life issues. We were also able to tweak a few other things that I think clear up the language and maybe get rid of some of the extras that were in there. Last night, we spent time going through some resolutions. Now, resolutions are basically just statements that are put out by the party for people to hear. They hear the party say, this is what we as a party believe or stand for. Of course, this has to go before the body, but we had one about, the pro-life issues has effect on the potential mothers or the would-be mothers, and kind of trying to adapt the go and sin no more approach, which the Republican Party has not been strong on. And I think that resolution addresses that. I think that's going to be a good solid step forward. Roe is dead. We need to make plans and take action to change the culture that has been preeminent for 50 plus years. Secondarily, we also, restated the fact that we would like the Donald reelected, and we want to look at his 47-point plan, which this is the first I heard of it, I must admit, so I will be spending time looking into it. But again, these are both resolutions to be forward to the body. So I'm encouraged that they got that far. I'm encouraged that, the Republican Party is starting to think beyond the immediate. The idea of acting, thinking and acting locally is very important. But when that locality is expanded to statewide, and when we act properly statewide, our actions and our statements have consequences for our neighboring states, and we can lead the way. So that coupled with, the work yesterday, the net effect is we're pushing for a stronger Texas. We're looking at how do we put Texas first, in my opinion. And I would encourage you, if you're coming to the convention, today's usually the day where people start arriving on Wednesday. And then the convention show, if you will, begins on Thursday. All this grunt work, if you will, which I am glad to do, I'm enthusiastic to do, is done Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So if you had something that you wanted considered, if you wanted a specific issue to be addressed, this is basically your last chance. I should also point out, we got done at a reasonable time with the resolutions last night. I went and spent some time listening to the tail end of the rules debate. Now, what I find interesting is rules has been at this as long as we have. They're still working on the 46 or 47 rules that are supposed to govern the state party for the next 2 years. And, I look at the amount of time we spent at the county level trying to fix the rules that admittedly got messed up about 2 years ago. And these are people that most of them are on the same page. Most of them want the same things, but they all want an orderly working party, or at least that would be what I would believe. So at the state level, the SREC, which is a state Republican executive committee, has authority to deal with issues in between the conventions. And they have rules indicating that bad behavior could and should be dealt with at the county level, yet they promptly voted down their own authority to enforce or deal with that. So I'm not really sure what good it does to create rules that you don't want to enforce. So I was really disappointed out of the Rules Committee, and it should be noted there's a number of individuals that sit on that Rules Committee that seem to have a vested interest of playing both sides against each other. I won't say the guy's name because I don't know and I haven't spoken to him personally, but I'd heard from more than one person that this guy likes to play the game while going into the legislature. And he says, well, there's nothing in the platform or the rules indicating that the party wants this, so you shouldn't do it. And then show up at the convention and say, well, we need to follow the law. There's nothing in the law. We can't do this by the law. Well, the reality is the Republican Party of Texas has separated themselves from direct control of the Texas election code because we are a private entity. And as a private entity, we need to govern ourselves. And if we don't govern ourselves, guess what? Government will come in and govern us for us. They'll govern us whether we like it or not. And to me, that's just a major letdown, a super disappointing outcome of that situation. I'm not sure why anybody would think that's okay or a good idea. I'm kind of at a loss, but my understanding is this is commonplace and it takes time. And, time is of the essence. Our republic is being chipped away and withered away every day that goes by. And these same folks tell me, well, it's not time. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that when it comes to Texas independence. Yet they're doing everything they can, in my opinion, to not address and not fix the problems that would make us viable, powerful state within the union. So once again, playing both sides, right? Well, we're not ready to do that. That's maybe a bit too far. But we don't want to take the actions right here, right now that would maybe prevent the need for that. I think it's just some of these folks like the idea of being heard but not actually doing anything. And that, again, once again, just disappointing. I know everybody's got a different way of doing things, and sometimes the talkers and the writers have lots of good ideas that need to be heard out and need to be appropriately acted upon. And then sometimes the action people, they need to take a pause and consider, if we take this action, what are the possible negative side effects, and what are the very likely negative side effects, and what are we going to do to prevent that? So the action people and the thinking people need to work together. That's the only way the Republic's going to continue to survive. That's the only way Texas can put itself first, right? The first among equals, if you will. Again, just my opinion on the matter, and we're going into Wednesday. We're going to do the committee of the whole today. So basically every plank, every section that it was gone through with subcommittees is now put before the committee of the whole. We'll get a chance to review it, perfect it, before it's presented to the state convention body. For me, this is an important process. I find it at times exasperating, but entirely enjoyable and entirely worth it. The week's worth of vacation that I invest in our future, I have found to be worthwhile because this is something that I can actually do. This is a opportunity to take action, but it also requires the thinking portion, right? You've got to take both pieces of that and put it together. For me, this is great. This is a worthwhile adventure, if you will. I would like to say also that I floated the idea to several members of the two committees that I was on about paying state senators and state representatives a salary equal to the average salary of the district that they represent, with the understanding that this allows we the people to be able to run for that office and hold that office and still take care of our families and still pay our bills because you're getting a salary, and you don't have to be in, we'll use the phrase, even though I'm not sure I feel this way. You're not in the 1%, right? You're not an independently wealthy person. You're not an attorney. You don't have some sweet gig where you can take off 6 months out of the year. That you're your average person that took I guess I'd call it a burden, but more a responsibility to protect Texas, to, reassert our rights as individuals, to make sure that we, the people, are heard. This is an opportunity, and I imagine the convention's not going to take action on it this time, but just speaking about it and just pushing the idea out there, that's how these things get started. We can't fix the problem until we start getting people that are actually going to represent us. Now, in speaking to members of the SREC and other long-term activists at the convention, some of them actually like the idea, which I was glad to hear. Some of them, are, let's say, not ready to sign off on it, but want to hear more, want to have that discussion, and they're at least interested in it. So for me, that was encouraging. But again, this is the ground level. This is where things start. If you're going to make a difference, you have to start now. You have to start out your back door, if you will. You have to be heard, and you have to make sure that other people are heard. That being said, getting ready to walk out the door here. We got a long day and getting the people's business done. And when I say the people, I mean the convention delegates of the Republican Party. We're here on their behalf, and they have final say. So unlike the Texas House or the Texas Senate or the U.S. Congress, where the people have little to no say, in this case, the body has final say. And that, to me, is very important. It is explicitly necessary to make sure that we're getting the work done that the party wants. So I'd encourage you, if you're not involved, find a place to get involved. Take action, but make sure you're thinking about what you're doing. And perhaps in 2 years, we'll see you down at the state convention. And with that, we're going to cut it short again. These are just short little updates to let you know what's going on. This has been According to Callus, and I will see you on the other side.